first, the big story that we are tracking, our top story tonight. A massive blow to the highest office of India's premier investigation agency, the CBI. Its director, Ranjit Sinha, has been ordered by the Supreme Court to recuse himself from the 2G scam investigation. This order has put a question mark over Sinha's capacity to lead the investigation in a fair manner. Never before has a CBI director been ordered off a high-profile investigation in this manner. While the Supreme Court didn't flesh out its reasons, it did make clear that the information submitted about the manner in which Sinha had met 2G accused at his official residence, detailed first on headlines today, was credible and acceptable. In addition, the court said the second senior-most officer in the CBI could now lead the probe. The blow for Sinha comes just 12 days before he's due to hang up his boots. Let's give you our top story on the news today at 9.
After a tense 3-month legal fight over the murky Guestgate scandal, it's game over for the CBI director. In an unprecedented order just 12 days before he was due to retire, the Supreme Court today ordered Ranjit Sinha to get off the 2G investigation, in effect putting a question mark over his capacity to lead the probe in a fair manner. Never before has a CBI director been shunted from a high-profile investigation in this manner. While the Supreme Court didn't flesh out its reasons, it declared that submitted information on how Ranjit Sinha had met 2G accused at his official residence, detailed here on Headlines Today as part of the Guestgate story, was credible and acceptable. In addition, the court said the second senior-most officer in the
Guestgate scandal, the story that Headlines Today was at the forefront reporting, is the lowest ebb for one of the most controversial occupant of the CBI's top office. And it comes just 12 days before he was to retire. The big question is he going to retire as scheduled, or is he going to quit under a cloud?
Tools, what to do with him. But his skin, obviously such a situation is so thick that he thinks it's not an indictment. I think the fact is the Supreme Court apparently seems to have cushioned the CBI from him and separated the person who's probably polluting the organization. So I believe Supreme Court has saved the organization embarrassment and separated the leader. The fact is that separated the leader from the organization and asked somebody else to move on almost means it's an absolute indictment. You've been asked to go home in a way. Supreme Court has said get away from 2G. Enough is enough. We don't believe you in this.
But if he has a thick skin, what about the government? Dr. Bedi, one thing for Dr. Sinha to have a thick skin, does the government have a thick skin? Why should the government not be informing Mr. Sinha enough is enough?
I think the government should have at least asked him, to go home, to say take voluntary retirement, go away 12 days earlier. And if the judgment comes of the order is categorical of indictment, then deal with him. And I think this is the time, either you need an SIT on him, if something more comes up through whistleblower, or now is the time for a Lokpal. It's time for a good Lokpal. If whistleblowers more comes out of against Mr. Sinha, it should go to a Lokpal. I think this is the time to have an independent Lokpal. How many times will you have SITs? I think we should not delay institutional Lokpal. It must come in now.
I'll come to the Lokpal issue, ma'am, in a moment. I'll come to the Lokpal issue, but I want to focus on something you said to Vijay Ramarao at the moment, which is voluntary retirement. 12 days to go for retirement. Do you believe that Mr. Sinha, in the name of God, should simply say, I'm taking voluntary retirement and save himself and the CBI of further embarrassment?
You're asking me?
Yes, Mr. Rao.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
This is the first time that Supreme Court has made such severe comments on the conduct, the manner in which investigation is being conducted in this case. Never before have they made such comments on the head of the organization. It doesn't mean, in fact, I would like to make it clear, it doesn't mean that the court has passed any strictures on the organization. The court has always been, by and large, supporting the efforts of the CBI, and they were standing by the CBI.
Mr. Ramarao, I must
in many
intervene.
cases.
I must intervene. It is one thing to say the court has not passed strictures against the CBI, but the director is the top of the establishment. And the fear is that over the years, CBI directors have been seen to be less than independent. And Mr. Ranjit Sinha's case is now becoming an example perhaps of that. CBI directors have got positions after retirement. They've been given government jobs, they've been given governorships, and people are now questioning the manner. Ranjit Sinha is now perhaps becoming a symbol of what's gone wrong in the CBI in terms of, as the Supreme Court once says, made it a caged parrot.
Oh, no, I'm not getting you.
I'm trying to make the point, Mr. Ramarao, that here is a case where the CBI director's role is coming under the scanner because many believe that the CBI director has long since ceased to be an independent person. He is appointed by a political party and therefore is beholden often to political parties and their benefactors in the corporate world as well.
No, I disagree with you. You can't help if the Prime Minister is a politician. But there is a process by which CBI directors are selected. And if there is something wrong with the process, there is nothing that anyone can do. Nothing that anyone can do. Many cases have been handled.
No, but that's precisely where Kiran Bedi's point comes. Kiran Bedi, do you believe this has now become symbolic? You spoke about the Lokpal, but symbolic of the fact that the CBI director's post is no longer seen as independent, and we've seen other instances also now where the CBI directors have been, after they've demitted office, been given plum postings, and people are questioning now the manner in which the CBI director's post itself is losing its sanctity. Do you believe Mr. Sinha, therefore, is becoming symbolic of the lack of sanctity in the CBI's director's post?
Absolutely. We've not had independent institutions. I don't recall independent institutions. Which institution today is independent? Barring reasonably the judiciary, which is itself now also being looked at. But the fact is, barring, thank God for judiciary, I don't think any executive appointments are based strictly on merit. And the fact is backed by an independent appraisal system. All these years we've never improved and objectified and made it professional appraisal systems which throws up people deservingly on merit, and then you don't have bodies which appoint truly the meritorious. And has merit been a priority before governance? All these years I have not seen merit as a priority before this. It's been more a politicization of institutions, and I saw this enormously post-emergency. Post-emergency, I saw a huge decline. Serving in the police force, a decline. None of our postings as police commissioners, barring a few, were ever based on total merit. So this was absolutely visible, which took away the rule of law, which is why there's been decline in rule of law.
Okay, so you're effectively saying, you're effectively confirming what the Supreme Court seems to be suggesting, that the reputation of the CBI, the credibility of the CBI is clearly at stake at the moment. Ranjit Sinha now has to decide for himself what his next step is. Vijay Ramarao, Kiran Bedi, appreciate you're giving us a police person's perspective. What's my take? Where do I stand on the issue? By forcing the CBI director to opt out of the 2G case, saying all is not well with the agency, the Supreme Court has sent a clear and unambiguous message to Mr. Ranjit Sinha. Prima facie, the allegations against him seem to carry credibility. Clearly, as the court itself has suggested, the reputation of the agency and the director's post has been tarnished. Mr. Sinha would be best advised to step down, or the government must ensure he does so. Okay, let's turn to another of our top stories tonight on India at 9. The 5 Indian fishermen who were pardoned by the Sri Lankan government will be leaving from the Delhi airport to Chennai in less than an hour from now. According to sources, the 5 who haven't seen their families for 3 years were brought from Colombo to the capital for a debriefing by the Intelligence Bureau. The safe return of the fishermen is being seen as a huge diplomatic win for the Indian government. Let's go straight across to our Deputy Editor, Smita Sharma, joins us. She tracks the Ministry of External Affairs. Smita, they were brought to Delhi and I'm told they are now going to be soon on their way back to Chennai and then to Rameshwaram. But what is the sense that the Indian government is giving you? Was there a phone call from Narendra Modi to Mr. Rajapaksa before this deal was struck?
Absolutely, Rajdeep, and in fact that was something that was confirmed by the Indian High Commission in Colombo yesterday itself, that Narendra Modi did speak to Mahinda Rajapaksa on 9th of November. Remember, something that was tweeted by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, and it created quite a flutter. But you know, things should not be seen in isolation here if we just look at the sort of sequence of events, because ever since the death sentence was handed over to these fishermen on 14th of October, while the Indian government, of course, through the counsels of these fishermen, did challenge that verdict in a court of appeal, but it was withdrawn.